President Bongbong Marcos abolishes several offices in a bid to allocate resources amid the health and fiscal crises. Among those he abolished are the Presidential Anti-Corruption Commission, the Office of the Cabinet Secretary, and the Office of the Presidential Spokesperson. But he also created a new office, the Presidential Advisor on Military and Police Affairs. And we now talk to political analyst and governance expert Tony La Viña. He is also the lead convener of the Movement Against Disinformation. Good morning, Professor La Viña. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, Ria. Good morning, everyone.
Sir, we'd like to get your thoughts on the decision of President Marcos Jr. to abolish and reorganize some of the offices under the executive branch. What is your assessment of this so far?
Well, first of all, the president does have the power to reorganize the executive branch, and especially his own office, to align with his own goals and his leadership style. So this is really what all about. I mean, it seems that this president doesn't want overlapping offices. Is trying to simplify things, and from that point of view, that's good. The PACC is a good example. It's really a superfluous office. There's no need for a presidential anti-graft and corruption office, because that can be done by the executive secretary, office of the executive secretary. They can immediately investigate. It's much faster that way without a commission. They can immediately investigate when there are the PACC only applied to presidential appointees, right? Because there's the ombudsman, there's the Civil Service Commission, and other offices, and even presidential appointees can be subject to also to the ombudsman. So there are really multiple ways to make officials accountable. You know, Ria, I cannot even remember a single really high official, presidential official that the PACC got rid of. I'm sure there must be, but it just escapes my mind. Right now, that tells you it's been a superfluous office. What I can say about the ombudsman has certainly done certain things through the years, right? So this is not a necessary office. Pang drama lang siya. To be honest, when there's a big scandal and the president wants to be seen as doing something, then he throws it to a commission rather than throw it to the executive secretary, when the executive secretary can do it actually much faster.
Right.
Same with the press secretary, right? The office of the spokesman, press, whatever it is, Secretary Trixie is the spokesman for the president, even if she's not given that title, right? So they really consolidating. Part of the reason why the PCO became so big and so complicated is because during the Aquino years, there was two factions within the Aquino government doing different parts of communications, and so they had to create these two big offices that were then merged under Duterte, and now actually it's being reduced to a smaller, more manageable size. Going back actually to the time of Aquino, Cory Aquino, having a single press secretary.
All right, so Professor, all of these movements, these changes, this streamlining, what do they tell us about the Marcos government and what this administration is going to be like?
It does tell us something good, right? That it wants to simplify things. It also says something actually not just about the president, but he's what we call the little president. This is also a consolidation by the executive secretary of his own power within Malacanang. No? By the way, though, there's one really good thing that's come out from all of these changes, which is the prominence of the presidential management staff is being restored. I like that. During the time of President Ramos, I was in the cabinet also, and we really just had the presidential management staff to assist the president and to assist the cabinet. No other office like the office of the cabinet secretary, etc., etc. And so I like the fact that the PMS is restored to its former glory. I would like to use that word. Um, in tandem with the Office of the Executive Secretary, because in the end, that's really just what the president needs:
Right.
a good executive secretary and a really solid presidential management staff. Everything else is palabok, to be honest with you. So this is good from the indication of a management style and a leadership style that's accountable to a few officials, because that's what you want. You don't want too many layers of government, including in Malacanang.
Right. So if we're going to talk about Executive Order number 2 specifically, which is, as we've been saying, basically streamlining the communication offices, including the Freedom of Information Program Management Office, how will this actually help in the fight against disinformation?
No, that I'm not sure that they can do that, because unfortunately a lot of the disinformation is coming from the government um, itself. But it does help in the sense that by having um, information and the release of information directly under the office of the president, there is no doubt now who is accountable for freedom of information in this country. Wala na tayong ibang masisisi kung hindi ang Pangulo. Kung merong mga information, there's information that's not released to the public, because the opposite of this information, or the reason why this information thrives, Ria, is because there's lack of information. When information is not disclosed, when there's lack of transparency, that's when chismis happens, right? That's when the press is at a loss on what to report. So from my point of view, it's good that the president has taken accountability for the release of information, for freedom of information. But we need a law. That's what we need. And we need to sufficient. This is not enough.
Right.
We need a Freedom of Information Act, as we have fought for many years already, in order to really get information to flow, and also then to defeat disinformation.
All right. So put out that information and lots of accountability. Professor, thank you for being here. We appreciate it. That was Professor Tony La Viña.